Welcome back to Future Perfect Tech Shorts. One of the pioneer fintech companies in the Philippines is now offering a mobile version of its escrow payment service for merchants. It's an app called SureTayo, which runs on both Android smartphones and the Apple iPhone. SureTayo was initially launched by Dragonpay in 2018 as a web-based person-to-person payment service. In July this year, Dragonpay introduced the SureTayo app to mark the company's 9th anniversary. SureTayo aims to allow people with no credit cards or bank accounts to still shop online while protecting them from fraudulent sellers. It's an innovation that has merited special recognition by the Department of Science and Technology and the Philippine National Academy of Science and Technology, which gave Dragonpay the 2019 Outstanding Technology Commercialization Award. We'll talk about the growing popularity of the SureTayo app with our guest, Robertson Dick Chang, the founder and Chief Technology Officer of Dragonpay Corporation. Dick, thank you very much for coming to Future Perfect.
My pleasure.
So we're talking about accepting payments from buyers, but holding it in escrow.
Yes.
So essentially, you hold the payment and won't release it yet until the item is delivered.
That is correct. Yeah. Basically, the idea is we're trying to get buyers and sellers who are both online but don't know each other. So these are typically sellers who are selling things from Instagram or in Facebook, and you never see them. You're not sure whether they're real or whether they actually exist.
Yeah, I'm so tempted, actually. There are so many Instagram ads coming out. Ooh, I want to buy that stuff, but I'm not sure if it's trustworthy. Yeah,
because a lot of them are not really established businesses. They don't have physical retail shops that you could go to in case something goes wrong. So it's just a person with some name, and you're not really sure whether when you make the payment, whether it gets delivered. So where SureTayo comes in is we act as a third party, a middleman, if you will, acting as an escrow service. So the buyer basically puts his money with us first, and then we inform the seller, yes, the money's in good hands, you may ship the product. And once the item has been received, the buyer tells us, I received the item and it's in good condition, it's what I expected. So that's the only time we release the money to the seller. So by having a third party act as a trusted broker in between, if you will, we provide a more secure and safe environment for people who totally don't know each other to conduct commerce online.
So Dragonpay has been around for some time now.
Yes, we've been around for 9 years now.
9 years. And in those 9 years, how many instances of consumer fraud has the company actually encountered or have prevented?
Well, we've encountered dozens of fraud, but I would say, relatively speaking, it's probably a lot smaller as compared to more traditional credit card fraud. I guess regardless of what kind of payment you offer, there will always be some smart aleck who will try to work around the system. And in most cases, they don't really find a flaw in the system, but in most cases, fraud happens through scams, social scamming basically. You try to fool the person to act or behave in some manner without necessarily using technical tools. And people still fall for that kind of fraud, unfortunately, all the time.
And even with that happening, that's the kind of practice that scammers do. How does something like SureTayo try to block that from happening?
Right. So with the SureTayo service, if you get scammed and it turns out that the item was never really delivered, then you're safe in the comfort of knowing that the money is actually still with us, because we're not going to release it until you say that the item has been received in good condition. So we are encouraging online buyers, if you don't trust the seller, or it's not a legitimate site or a legitimate full-blown business, try to ask them to sign up with SureTayo, so that make sure that your purchases are guaranteed, at least in that sense.
So it has to be both the merchant and the buyer who are on the SureTayo platform.
Yes.
They all have to sign up for an account.
Technically, no. It's the seller only who needs to sign up for an account. And the buyer only needs to work through the system through SMS and through email and through the web to confirm the order. But it's really just the seller who needs the app, because the seller has to encode there what there are things being bought, where this item is going to be shipped, and so on.
So I think you have the app with you. This is the interface for the SureTayo mobile app. Was this developed locally?
Yes, we hired local developers to do it, and we initially started with a web-based approach. We're trying to veer away from having to make custom versions for every mobile phone, right? But it turns out that the market really still seems to have a preference for native apps. So this past year, we decided to take that plunge and had a mobile version for both Android and iOS done.
Okay.
And this is what we have.
All right. So it's easy to download either from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store.
Right.
So run us through some of the features, Dick. What do you actually get to do on the Sure Tayo mobile app?
So this is from the point of view of the seller. So the seller just has to sign up for an account because we need basic information about the seller.
Sure.
The whole idea there, again, is we're basically telling the buyer that we've done at least some background check on this guy that you're trying to buy from.
So you have.
So you know that this guy exists.
How long does it take to do a typical background check on the seller?
Well, we ask very basic information, but the thing is, before we actually disburse any money to this person, the person has to provide us with proof that he owns a bank account, because we would normally settle the money to a bank account.
So the seller has to be a bank person or entity.
Yes. And it follows that since he has a bank account, he must have gone to a branch, and he must have been KYC'd by a bank officer, presented ID.
Sure.
So we confirmed the bank details that they would provide with the IDs that they would provide us.
Okay.
So we can tell with some certainty, at least to the buyer, that this person you're transacting with is who he says he is.
Legit.
Right.
Okay. So let's look at the interface again. So they sign up for an account.
Yep.
Okay.
So they would just go to orders. So from orders in here, they would encode basically the things that you're trying to buy. So if I'm selling clothes over Instagram, so from this interface, there. So
So that interface shows.
It shows you the information of the buyer, so who is trying to buy from you. So you as a seller would encode this information here, contact details, and add what are the items that it's trying to buy from your Instagram site. So if it's some, selling clothes, you could put some details about what he's trying to buy, and you click send, and basically what it does is it will trigger both an SMS and an email to the buyer with a link on how to complete the payment.
Okay.
So that's where Dragonpay already comes in. So when the person clicks that link, he gets to choose where do I want to pay. I want to pay the nearby
so you have
grocery
partner merchants and partner banks?
Yes. Yes. So we work with banks, mobile payment systems, physical cash counters, so the remittance centers, grocery supermarkets. Basically, we work with all the major chains. And a buyer would be able to complete his payment through these online or offline channels. And it would trigger a notification to the seller that the payment has already been made and that he can already start shipping the items.
What were the other tiles on the app interface? If you can show us again, Dick.
The other tiles are just more of requesting for payouts. So if you as a seller, you've already made several transactions, so you want to check how much you've made and how much Dragonpay has been remitting to you already, so you would go through that. You can view a list of your transactions and some frequently asked questions and promos.
Right. So this interface is for the seller.
The seller. It's really for the seller. For the buyer, they don't need this app. They deal only with SMS and email through the system.
Describe to us, what kind of people are they? You mentioned Instagram and Facebook merchants.
A lot of them are the informal sellers that we refer to. So these are people, usually homemakers. They are people who are selling things at home.
Through social media.
Right. And in many cases, they don't really have formal stores. So we have some celebrities actually who are selling cakes. We have people selling pop-up tents. But
so you have an endorser as a celebrity who's selling cakes?
Yes.
Okay.
and all sorts of people basically, but the most popular items would normally be clothes, food, fast-moving items.
So how fast or how big has Sure Tayo grown?
Well, we've only started, we relaunched the site because I mentioned we tried to do it purely via the web last year and didn't really catch up very well.
That was 2018?
Yes.
And then this year, you launched the mobile app?
Yes, and we've received more significantly increased the usage through the mobile app.
Okay. The previous guest, of course, said they prefer to do an optimized web version, but you're thinking app is still the way to go.
No, I think it really depends on the market that you're dealing with. I guess when it comes to things that are more interactive, that you have to input a lot of things, people prefer the more responsiveness of an app.
Right.
But if it's more of just reading data, I guess it doesn't really matter if you do mobile optimized or pure native app.
Yeah, yeah. Where do you think the future of e-payments is actually going here in the Philippines? I mean, you've been around. Dragonpay has been around for 9 years.
Yeah.
So how big of a market have you actually captured, and how much bigger is it going to get?
Well, I think even in the last 9 years, although volume has significantly increased, I still think we're just scratching the surface at this point in time. E-payments have in the past couple of years, they've probably quintupled, probably more than quadrupled, quintupled over the last couple of years. But again, compared to the total population, it's still a very small segment of the society. We do believe that over a longer period of time, people will get more and more used to e-payments. But for the immediate term, we still think that cash rules. So a lot of the payments that we process are still physical cash over-the-counter payments.
Unfortunately, that's still the saying. Your credit is good,
but we need cash.
Right. But you're an e-payment system, right, in a sense. But there's so many e-payment systems now in the Philippines. They've actually been run by the big telcos who partnered with big Chinese e-payment companies as well. How do you compete against those?
We don't. We actually work with them. So where Dragonpay comes in is our whole value proposition is we tell...
It's a symbiotic relationship.
It is. Yeah. It is. We tell the merchants that, hey, you want to accept all sorts of payment, all sorts of alternative payments, whether it be through these mobile wallets from these big telcos or cash payments through the neighborhood convenience store. And we basically provide a one-stop shop solution for them. So we do work with the big telcos. We accept their various forms of payments. And we do the hand-holding, the onboarding of the merchant, and providing all the neat APIs so that they only have to deal with one party to simplify the system.
All right. Well, you'll hit your 10th year anniversary next year, so that should be a good round number for Dragonpay. Any other future plans?
Well, we will continue to grow our portfolio of alternative payments. So, like this year, we're currently adding new payments such as installment payments, and these are non-credit card installment payments. So, and we're adding a few more APIs with the banks to make it more accessible to more people. So we'll keep adding new stuff. And
just curious, what kind of items do people mostly like to buy and use Dragonpay to do it?
A lot of them are vouchers. Vouchers. People still buy,
like dinner vouchers?
Yeah, 40% off at this establishment, 50% off in that resort. So those are still very popular.
Okay.
But we basically deal with all sorts of payments from all industries that you can think of, all the way from the airline to manufacturers.
So small items, big items.
Yeah.
Well, thanks very much for coming over, and looking forward to the 10th anniversary of Dragonpay. Thank you very much. That's our episode for this week. You can catch parts of the show on iWant.ph and on TFC.tv. You can also reach us via our Facebook account, ANC Future Perfect, and on Twitter at ANC_FP. I'm Tony Velasquez. Join me again next week when we examine the present and look ahead to the future perfect of Philippine and global tech.